Hello, Julien.
Hi,
How are you?
sorry, I have a little problem of connection over here. Hi.
Don't worry, it happens. So I think it's good morning for me, good afternoon for you.
Yes, evening here, 10 p.m. in
Evening.
Singapore at the moment.
Okay, what time is there now?
Now it's 10 p.m., so we are just
10 p.m.
about to finish the first dinner service of the week.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice to meet you. I know you from your work, and I'm very happy to be talking to you.
Likewise, nice to